This is late afternoon. We'll see what we can get done in this video. I'm going to begin working this area in the rocks. Hopefully I'll be able to manage it. Just refreshing my colors. Again, I'm using the limited palette with a warm and cool of the reds and blues, and two warm yellow colors. You can go back in the previous video, the first video in fact, then when I talk about my palette and the reason why I use these colors. It's the Mediterranean palette, the one that I use, which works very well for Greece. I don't need any greens, I make my own. However, once in a while, and I may do that in this painting, I will add phthalo green, phthalocyanide green. Can you see that? Which is a very, very difficult color to use. But when I need to have some green in the water, it mixes very well with the blues and creates a very nice effect. I don't think I'm going to be needing it here, but it is one of my options. I'm still using my number 2 medium, which is half turpentine and half linseed oil, or stand oil. That is also a very workable mix. So I take a moment to reconnect with the painting and the work that I've done so far. And I'm going to begin mixing my foreground rock color, which will be ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and the burnt umber as a base. And because it's in the foreground, I want the rocks to be warmer, which means if I'm going to add a reddish tone, I can warm it up that way. I would use the cadmium red, and with the yellows, if I really want to warm it up, would be the Indian yellow that I have on my palette. Even so, we add titanium white to the mix in various amounts, depending on what you want to accomplish, to get a warmer, a lighter value. Down by the water, the rocks are always darker because they are continually getting wet. I want to make sure that I do not divide the rocks in half. In my study that I did when I was painting, it was pretty much half and half, the same width or height of this area. So I'm very conscious to not do that here. All these rocks on the beach that are beginning to come up out of the water are very round. I'm going to square them off a little bit in the back and on the sides to create more interest. In this frontal area. I'm bringing this in, these are going to be just the rocks underneath the water. I'm not bringing it all the way over to this corner because we want the four corners to be different. You don't want to paint them the same way. You don't have to pay a lot of attention to it. You don't need details and things like that in the corners. But you do want them to be slightly different. It makes for a better play with the eye. I don't want high contrast in the front rocks. There will be some areas that I will lighten and to bring them out more, but for now I'm keeping them lower values, just slightly lower value, and I build up. I start from the darks and build up to the lights. I'm conscious of creating my pathway. This will be the focal area. So everything happening in the foreground, I want to move the eye to this area. So this little rock here is important to bring the eye path there. And you have to balance between a lot of detail and specifically creating an eye path to letting it flow and be a bit more abstract. The video unfortunately got cut off, and sorry about that. I didn't realize. I kept going, talking to myself in my studio, but that's okay. Sometimes when things don't go the way they're supposed to, you just have to allow it, let it go, and move on with what you have. So a lot of work to be done. It was not a good painting day generally. Sometimes that happens. In fact, it happens quite a bit. And I found that the best thing to do is to just let go. And it was a bad painting day. And if I kept going and kept pushing at it, probably would have really messed some things up. And then other negative things would come through, like a disappointment feeling of, oh, this isn't going to turn out, and just get rid of the painting and start over. So what I tend to do when I find that I'm not in tune, I'm not connected to my creativity, that I step back and let it be.